I animated stick figures almost every day for the month of June, and to put that into perspective, this was basically 5 hours of animating, 1 hour of editing, 1 hour of everything else every day. So you might have a few questions, like how? First of all, before June even started, I planned everything in advance. I gathered as many sound effects, assets, tutorials, and everything else I would need in one place, as to not lose time during June for these things. Of course, I couldn't get everything, but this still saved loads of time. Before June, I wrote down every idea I had that I could use for a short. For context, I basically used about half of all the ideas I had. Most of the unused ones were just too long, too complex, or I didn't think they'd be entertaining enough. I wanted to try to make a short about the stick gang playing a popular game like Repo, for example, but it would have been harder to incorporate them into a game recording, and I didn't really have any fun ideas of what could happen. Another one would have been what kind of things the stick gang eats for breakfast, and how they act in the morning overall, but I didn't really know what to do with that one. If you do though, feel free to run wild with this idea. For a lot of them though, I do think I'll make them real, without the short time constraint of June. So if you're sad to not see any more fan shorts, well, it's not completely over yet. Once all of these ideas were gathered, I set myself a schedule telling me when each short needed to come out. So when the day starts, I would just go straight into animating without having to think or prepare anything. Sometimes it changed the last minute, sometimes it would switch around depending on my motivation. But nevertheless, it allowed me to always know what I needed to do when. And whenever I could, I would animate multiple shorts in one day, so if anything came up, I wouldn't be without an upload. That would mean animating 2 shorts in a day, which I did 2 or 3 times, I believe, but the most I've done was 5 shorts in one day for these ones, which may sound like a lot, but they were all very short. To make sure I could actually do this challenge, I took a sneaky shortcut. Usually, people animate using 24 frames per second, making for a smooth movement. This is the standard for most animation studios. What does this mean? Well, for 1 second of animation, you need to draw 24 drawings. For my challenge though, I used 12 frames per second. This means I had to only draw 12 images for 1 second instead of 24. That also means that my animation looked a bit choppier, but I actually think there's a few advantages, which is why I chose it as my frame rate. First of all, obviously, I gain a lot of time, as I don't have to draw as many frames. Since my challenge was quantity-based, I feel like it was worth the cost, and I don't think I would have been able to do this on 24 FPS. Second of all, I'm still learning animation, and I feel better using 12 FPS because since you see the frames for twice as long, you can't afford to make as much mistakes. You have to be really efficient in your movements as well, as sometimes it feels like you barely have time to do an action. For this specific movement here, if it had been 24 frames per second, this is how I would have drawn it. But since it was 12, I had to really use my time efficiently and only draw the necessary frames for your brain to do the rest of the magic and imagine it correctly. It might just be me honestly, but I feel like I learn faster when I animate on 12 FPS, and I will die on this hill. So, let's go back in time a little. About a year ago, I watched the full Animation vs Animator series, and I instantly became a huge fan. Ever since then, I knew this was what I wanted to do. You see, I have 3 dreams in life. I'm not going to reveal the other 2 yet, but one of them would be to work for Alan Becker. The thing is, I know I don't have the level yet. Before June, I have very little experience with animating something longer than 10 seconds, and I had almost never animated stick figures before. If there was a progress bar to see how close I was to working for Alan Becker, I would have been around here before June. I felt like I needed an actual challenge to force myself to get better. And, well, animating every day sure helps with getting better at animation, if you can believe that. I've actually learned a lot of things I didn't expect to learn during this challenge. For example, funny fun fact, I had no idea how to use Adobe Animate before this challenge, which is the software I used and the software Alan and his team use as well. I've also learned how to make run cycles, I've tried animating fight scenes for the first time, I've learned how to use Shape Tween, which, yeah, With all of that, I feel like I'm getting closer to my goal. Of course, I'm still not there, and I don't think I'm close either, but this is a step forward that will help me on my journey. When doing a challenge that requires you to do basically the same thing every day with a little gain, it is very important to not go insane, which, understandably, is easier said than done. To help me, I did a few things. First of all, I kept track of all my feelings and progress in one big text document. This did two things. First of all, this acted like a diary where I could vent frustrations in bad days. And second thing, it allowed me to actually see proof of my progress. It is very easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere when all you do is animate and edit and post and repeat for the whole week and month. But keeping track of your progress, seeing how productive you were by writing down what you did that day, really helped me stay sane. At least as sane as I can be. It also allowed me to see patterns in myself. For example, on days where I animated 2 shorts, I would usually feel pretty bad the day after. So I understood that animating too much would lead to a bad day. And I could use this information to regulate myself, or animate on days where I knew I would be busy the day after and wouldn't be able to animate. One important thing as well is to take breaks. It was one of the most important parts of my day, which may seem counterintuitive because that was when I wasn't making any actual progress, but let me explain. I usually took 2 breaks during the day, and during that time, I would go outside for a walk without my phone, no music, no anything. What this allowed me to do is to just think, you know? Either I would just free my mind for 30 minutes of anything related to animation and just think about anything, which meant that when I came back to animate, I was feeling fresh and motivated again. Or I would come up with better ideas for what I was going to do next. If you didn't know, for any creative project, it is really important to take breaks, because you get your best ideas when you're not thinking about them. It is also why you get so many good ideas late at night or under the shower. If you're interested in this, I have a video which explains it way better, linked in the description. One other thing that really kept me going was you guys. No, really, your comments were so positive and I feel so thankful for that. All the compliments, jokes, and sometimes even nonsense made me think like I wasn't just making silly animation to make progress. I was also making silly animation that you guys actually enjoyed. Really, thank you. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle. This is going to be the most cliché, the most predictable, the most anime protagonist sentence I'll ever utter, but really, what truly helped me were my friends. First of all, they linked me to this amazing fan-made Alan Baker wiki where I got most of the assets I used. The couch, Green's phones, there's a lot here and it's perfect for making fan content. Second of all, I want to shout out Novamation and Cyclone, who made this amazing file which gives you direction on the characters' proportion, you have their heads, it is so easy to use and it is why a lot of you guys said my proportions were perfect. Well, it is thanks to these guys. I will link it in the description. If you have Adobe Animate, you can use it too. I want to give a huge shout out to Boxy, who helped me animate this specific short. Not only did they help me get this short out in time, but they actually are very talented and seeing their godlike animation skills actually pushed me forwards to better myself. I mean, I didn't want to have my animations look bad next to theirs. They also gave me a few useful tips, and if you saw a huge jump in quality from week 1 to week 2, that's thanks to them. I also want to say, without QZ, I would have gone absolutely insane. This man is actually goated. Anytime I had trouble with Adobe Animate, I would send him a DM and he'd show up like an all-knowing god and would give me the perfect solution to any problem I had. He's also extremely good at animation and I really want you guys to check his channel out. Next up, I want to quickly say thank you to Withered Studio for allowing me to use their hot power asset in the Elytra breaking short with purple. I tried doing that myself and it was a nightmare. Everyone, say thank you! And finally, I want to shout out SkittleQ. They didn't really help with anything, but they're my friend and I want to shout them out too, so go check out his channel. He has a series called Paper. The first episode is out and the second one is coming one day. Just go check him out, okay? I absolutely loved doing this challenge. Yes, there were days where I didn't feel as good, but most of the time I genuinely was proud of what I was putting out. Would I do this challenge again? Well, if I ever had a similar chance to what I had this year of having an entire month with nothing else planned like what June was for me, then I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe I'll get so many ideas again that I'll want to do this challenge once more. The point of all of this is that if you want to learn something, if you want to get closer to a goal, you really should just do it. Maybe making one video every day for a month while trying to not go insane probably isn't what you should try yourself to do. But you can try something smaller. Want to learn how to draw? Just try it, and you might surprise yourself. And if it's bad, that's okay. You are always bad before you become good. Whatever you make that is bad now will serve as a reminder for how far you've come whenever you'll be able to make something good. Try to join communities that can help you, or go on this learning journey with a friend. There are always people who can and will help you. And hey, remember all the people I shouted at before? I met them thanks to me wanting to work for Alan Becker and joining the right community. Just like how I wanted to make an animation almost every day, you could set yourself a challenge. Not necessarily as big, but let's say you want to learn how to animate. What if you tried making a character jump under 1 month? If you want to learn how to draw, what if you tried drawing your favorite character in a week? What if you tried writing a short paragraph? What if you tried 3D modeling an infamous donut? If you succeed, great! You can try something harder. And if you fail, try to think of why you failed. Did you set the challenge too hard for you? Did you have too high expectations? Whatever it was, take what you learned and create a new challenge for yourself, adapting for what went wrong. It can be scary to start doing something, because you don't know how to start. That's probably why I never tried making a fan-made short before June. But once I actually challenged myself with something clear, the progress I made was insane. I actually challenge you to learn something new. Whatever you've been wanting to learn, this is your time. If you even want to, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you want to learn and what you're going to start by doing. If you actually follow through and do that thing, tell us too, show us your learning journey. Anyways, I hope this video inspired you to learn a new skill. I believe in you, but that's enough madness for today. See you later.